In this presentation, I am going to talk about inclusive teaching and how to maintain a supportive learning environment. Let me start with this painting. This little boy is having difficulties keeping up in class. He is being called names, he is socially isolated, and his self-esteem is in tatters. There might be more fundamental reasons for his underachievement. Maybe he comes to school on an empty stomach. Or maybe he has learning difficulty for which he is not getting any support. In any case, this painting shows very well how physiological, social, and academic needs are interreliant. To help students achieve their full potential, teachers have to support them in fulfilling some more basic needs. I call these basic needs because I was thinking of this model, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which conceptualizes learner needs as levels in a pyramid, ranging from the more fundamental ones that take precedence over all others, such as the need for food and water, up to the top need of self-actualization, which in our case means achieving one's full potential through learning. But that is only possible if all the levels below that are also met. So in order to maintain a safe and supportive learning environment, what a teacher can do is to help students meet these more basic needs up to the level of self-actualization. And in this slide, I have listed some examples of how to do this, but this is by no means exhaustive. So in order to meet, first of all, physiological needs, it is good way to do that would be to keep tea, coffee, water, maybe biscuits in the classroom so that students are not hungry and thirsty. For the next level, safeguarding, this is a very important way of meeting safety needs, and it is also mandated by law. So every educational institution has a responsibility to protect children and vulnerable adults from threats such as abuse and other potentially threatening situations. And to do this, all institutions have procedures in place that are usually written down. So it is important to familiarize oneself with these procedures. And then mostly what teachers have to do is keep an eye out for signs of abuse and other threats. Do that by talking to students and paying attention to students. And if they notice something, then they have to report it to a designated safeguarding officer. Now, the third level is belongingness and love needs. And to fulfill this, a good way to do that is to foster cohesion in the group that one is teaching. You can do that by having students introduce themselves to each other, have group work that helps them bond with each other and form friendships. And definitely not allow hateful and discriminatory speech, and also not allow them to isolate students in the way that we saw in the previous slide in the painting. Esteem needs, to fulfill esteem needs, belongingness and love needs are the fulfillment of belongingness and love needs is very important, but also something extra that this teacher can do is to offer different types of challenging extra tasks and responsibilities to students, opportunities for independent work where they can feel that they are independently themselves adding something and thinking of something. And then if they tackle these tasks, praise them for it. And then finally, we get to the top level, which is self-actualization. And this means that the student is comfortable with their learning, and they know why they are learning, and they are going somewhere with the learning, and they can really feel that. And to do that, one way would be to offer opportunities for specialization within the course, so according to the student's interests. So again, teacher can do that by offering optional tasks, and also by explaining different career options after the course and helping students lead them towards the options that most suit their interests. Now, promoting appropriate behavior and respect is essential for achieving the safety needs, but also the love and belonging needs. So if students are disrespecting each other in the classroom. That can lead to some students feeling excluded and reducing their self-esteem. But also, more fundamentally, disruptive behavior can simply distract from learning, and that will also affect students who have maybe learning difficulties or other needs not met, who are going to suffer from that most. So it definitely damages equality and inclusivity in the classroom. And this is why it is very important to promote appropriate behavior and respect. Now, as I said, inclusive teaching and learning has to help students meet the needs that I have talked about in the previous slides. And one important feature of that is offering equal opportunities through accessibility. So accessibility of the venue, accessibility of the learning materials, but also being aware that not all barriers and challenges are immediately visible. So it is important to get to know students, talk to them, and become aware of what their difficulties are so that one can meet their needs more effectively. For truly inclusive teaching and learning, we have to be aware that each student learns differently, and so we have to be able to accommodate different kinds of learning styles. So inclusive teaching and learning is learner-centered. It encourages active learning, so encourages students to find their own ways into the material through the approaches that best suit them. And that means different learning styles, which can be accommodated by using varied teaching styles. So some students learn better by reading, some students learn better by hearing, some students learn better through practical experience, doing something in practice, students learn better visually, and by offering a variety of tasks and some optional tasks to choose from, it is possible to offer something to all of these groups. And then, of course, through this variety, we have to aim for stimulating and engaging sessions so that students are not bored, they don't get distracted, and they can focus on the material in the best possible way. I have talked about accessibility before, but in my opinion, another aspect of accessibility is providing learners with opportunities to develop their maths, English, and IT skills. And that is because these are fundamental skills that are necessary for studying any subject. And if students haven't received adequate previous training in these, then that will make it difficult for them to keep up. That is why educational institutions are obligated to offer these opportunities, which can also be embedded in any kind of course. So I teach art history, which seems to be quite removed from at least maths and IT, but there are opportunities to still embed these skills, and they will also be very useful to the students after they graduate. So for instance, with maths, art history includes architectural history, and their geometry is very useful for understanding architectural designs and can be used to train students and hone their skills in this area. With English, that is more straightforward. So with any humanities subject, reading and writing skills are necessary for research and essay writing, and students are going to practice this a lot throughout the course. And with IT, students are going to practice professional correspondence and generally using computer systems. And another more specific aspect would be using museum databases, which they are going to use in their research. So that is going to train them in a specific aspect of IT as well. And now I come to ways to engage and motivate learners, which I have already touched on before. So varying learning styles, offering active learning, offering group work, and very importantly, getting to know the students and the group and adapt methods to them. Other examples include bringing up relevant and timely examples and adapting them to the interests of the students, offering intellectual challenge and opportunities for independent extra work, having clear criteria for assessment, because being faced with unclear or unrealistic expectations can be terribly demotivating, and giving feedback that is encouraging and constructive and helps students develop their skills further. To achieve all this, it is necessary to establish ground rules about how the class is going to work. The best way to do this is to negotiate with the group in the first session. You can have your own rules, and some of these might be non-negotiable, such as not using hateful and discriminatory language in the classroom. But students should also be able to actively participate in setting up the system of rules as a whole. And that is because the rules need to be adapted to the circumstances and to the students' needs, the same needs that we discussed in the first half of this presentation. If we have suitable and firm rules in place, then that will help create a respectful, nurturing, and supporting environment where every student can thrive. And this brings me to the end of my presentation about inclusive teaching. Thank you very much for your attention.